Welcome to All Horse Racing All the Time. I'm Alan, your host. In this video, I'm going to be talking about making adjustments when handicapping the races, the importance of it, and some examples of how to make adjustments. Making adjustments. It's important, vital to be flexible with horse racing, horse playing. And that begins with handicapping the races in advance if you want to receive the most benefits from this video. Why is that? Handicapping in advance. An example, I've handicapped the entire Aqueduct card today already, and then I'll make adjustments with that. After the scratches come out, they may affect the pace of the race. The horse you like might not be in there. That's just one simple way to make adjustments. Get started in advance. Handicap the races before you go to the track or before you sit down to play. And when I say in advance, I mean every single race on the card. Why that? Adjustments. If you start late, you go to the track, you get there 10 minutes, you buy the racing form, you start looking at the races, you take the races race at a time. Right away, you are hurting yourself in multi-race plays because you're not going to see the advanced races. You're not going to look what the late pick 4 is, what the late, different races along the way. So this way, you get to sit down and you know your spots already in advance. We'll begin with the first race, for example, making adjustments. It was stressed to me early on by a good friend of mine who is a winning player, pro player, involved heavily in the business. Alan, you got to be able to adjust. And nothing could be further from the truth. What's an example of making adjustments? Well, yesterday, for example, at Del Mar, I had 3 horses that I like best, and they looked like the best ones. It was a turf race. It was on a Saturday. And one horse I was really sure was the best one. And I figured he finished no worse than second. But I was going to box 3 horses in this race regardless, just in case something happened. So I had 2 of the best horses with a history on turf. I'm talking about making adjustments. And another horse, which was a speed horse that's a little bit slower, but had a speed advantage and might upset the apple cart. Well, now I had time to look at this. Scratches were in. I did my legwork in advance. So now I could look at other horses. Is there somebody else out there? Take a look at the other contenders besides the top ones or the top 3 that you like in the race. Is there somebody in there that could sneak into the race and bring you a big payout, especially when it has longer odds and it has some good qualities? Can you make an adjustment like that? Well, lo and behold, I came across a turf horse that was opening at longer odds, and he had the higher power rating. But most of his great races, excellent races that dwarfed the other horses, were on dirt. And he did have one turf race, his last race, that fit the bill. So I thought about it. Now, this is something I wouldn't be able to do if I had gotten there late and I was looking at the race for the first time. And I said, I can't leave this horse out. He's faster than the 2 I like best, but those races are on dirt. But the turf race fits. And I said, who am I going to toss here? Let me box 3. I didn't want to add a 4th horse. And it was a 10 horse, which was longer odds. Now, I said, I got to use him. I can't leave this horse out. Now, this is something I wouldn't have picked up on if I came in late. I probably wouldn't have. And he was going off at like 8-1 or something. And so I threw the horse in. I put the horse in there and hit the exacta for exacta return $112 with that adjustment. So the importance of handicapping the races in advance, being able to adjust, gives you an added luxury when looking at the races. What other types of adjustments might you make? The biggest thing with ability to make adjustments is having the time to make those adjustments. By handicapping in advance, you have time to look at the horses in the post parade on the track. If you're at the track, go there, go to the paddocks, look at the paddocks, see if the horses are acting up, or if another horse looks really good who was a fringe player. Now you're looking at the you're looking at the horses, you're checking out the body language. Now you go back, sit down somewhere. When you're handicapping at the races, sit down at one of the desks they have that has simulcast screens in front of you, for example. Aqueduct, Belmont, all the tracks have spots like that, multiple spots like that on multiple levels. Now you still got about 10 minutes to watch the board, see what your payouts are, and relax. Sitting in the stands or walking around carrying your racing materials. It's tough to handicap that way. You want to be able to sit down with your pen. Now you look, does anybody else fit? What are the payouts? What are the daily double payouts? You don't have time to make these adjustments to reap the biggest rewards if you don't handicap the races in advance. I can't stress that enough. Now you look at it, look at the form, consider the body language, consider the trainers, consider the payouts, and have an open mind. Don't just think, well, I picked these horses and now I'm all over them. My work is done. That's not how it goes. You want to win big money, want to be able to be flexible when playing the races. And then you want to also, handicapping in advance, you get the chance to make those adjustments in your plays, set up your plays. You want to leave time for that. You don't want to be, for example, boxing a bunch of horses. You want to get your good play in there rather than boxing extra horses. Raise the wager from $2 to $3 or from $1 to $2 or and zero in, even if it means keying a horse first and second. You have extra time to make adjustments and think about your wagers. Leave some time to figure out how you're going to play this, how you're going to structure your tickets, because you could have all winners, 3 great horses, and play the races, structure the ticket wrong and miss. I know a couple people that missed on a horse that paid like 40 to 1, 50 to 1. One time over $100 where they structured their tickets wrong and they would have hit. So you want to leave time for that, making adjustments. You want to be able to look these horses over, consider the options, consider your wagering options, and you're like, oh, I really like this horse. It's a long shot, but I don't think he's going to finish in the top 3, but he might sneak into the 4th spot and maybe can slip into the 3rd spot. Set up a superfecta ticket, even if it's for a dime. Key him 3rd and 4th with your other ones. Dime supers can be very big in that race yesterday. Actually, if I would have used my top 4 horses in that race where I hit the $112 exacta, if I used my top 4 horses, I wouldn't have hit the superfecta, but I would have hit with the 50-cent pick 3, which was over $230, I believe. I'd have to go check. I'm not going to do it now. But 50-cent, whatever, trifecta. I'm not greedy, right? The exacta was nice enough, but you get the idea. Maybe you find that 4th place, borderline 3rd place, but you tossed, but could definitely sneak into 4th, and he's going off at 30 to 1. Throw him in. Consider the dime super. It gives you another option that you might not have had time to consider if you hadn't handicapped in advance. There's so many options available in horse racing. And again, gives you the option to zero a horse down, key him, etc., 1st or 2nd. And this way you can keep your bets down by playing the minimum options. You don't have to bet everything that moves. You can bet smarter. You can have a more educated guess or opinion Now that you have the time to think about it, like adding that superfecta, or maybe you bet the try. Maybe you do. You're on 3 horses on top, but you like one horse the very best. So you key it first and second. You put, and first and second, maybe 1 over 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4 over 1. And then throw an extra couple of horses into the third spot. Maybe you get balloons. Maybe your maybe your best horse comes in second, and one of the longer ones comes in first, and a bomb comes in third. By having the time to make those adjustments, look at the horses and watch the board, you can see exactly what I am talking about, why this is so important. And the biggest thing I stress of all is looking at the card early, getting familiar with it. This way you know what's coming up. You're not walking in blind. When it comes to the late pick 4, which you can usually play for 50 cents, now that's a race that you wouldn't have considered earlier if you didn't look at the cards in advance and you're taking it race by race. You come down to, the pick 4 and one of the legs, you say, wow, I could really narrow this down to 2 horses or maybe even 1. And wow, I could, open it up in the last leg. Especially, it's great if the last leg is a contentious race. You don't want to fire all your bullets in the first race and come down to the last race and have only 1, a single or 2, because the last leg is blind for most of the people, and they haven't handicapped in advance, and they're not making those adjustments that you can make because you're familiar with every single race intimately. Share this video with your horse racing friends if you think they'll like it. I want to thank everybody for watching. More videos to come on how to handicap horse racing. And remember, if you're playing today, best of luck and win big. And remember, may the horse always be with you. Thanks for watching, everybody.